Janet, I just saw that last night. You're gonna, I'm fucking freaking out. So last night, me and my husband were up. He woke up around like 4 a.m. and he's like choking. He's like, I just had a dream that I was like choking and I couldn't breathe. I was choking on like water or something. And I'm like, what? Because I've just been doing all this research on sirens and mermaids and all that. And we both look at the clock and notice that it's 4:20. That's my daughter's birthday. But then I was like looking into what starseed constellation I wanted to go into for the reading, and LYRA just came to me. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing LYRA. And so I'm channeling automatic writing, and like I got certain messages, but the one that I was mainly getting was about sirens. Okay, and then I'm looking into the mythology of it, and it has everything to do with sirens. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. I had no idea that the constellation Lyra mythology is surrounded around Orpheus, sailors, and sirens. So I'm like, what is happening? Then I'm watching a video about sirens, and one of the pictures depicts a siren with half of a head of a lion, a female body, and a fishtail. I still don't know what all that's about. I'm going to look into it. But what the hell? And then, you know, I've been getting all the messages about Stranger Things, and 11 is the girl's name that's psychic in Stranger Things. Guess what number shows up throughout this entire constellation? I'm adding the messier objects. I'm adding the magnitude, the longitude, the dates. Even when it was discovered, everything adds up to either an 11 or a 33. And I even got some 333s. So I'm like, I don't even know what's happening. I'm blown away. And then in like the Stranger Things trailer at the end, because of Stranger Things 4, what I noticed about the 4 that stood out to me is it looked like the symbol of Jupiter. And it's like, it's shown exactly like that. And I'm looking, and this, in the constellation, it may have at least one planet the size of Jupiter in its orbit, it says. I'm like, what is happening? Then I look into the symbol of Jupiter. And mind you, last night I was reading my Isis Unveiled book. It's by Helena Blavatsky, who I really do not like, but I was told to buy this book, and so I've been reading it. And it's just like everything is coinciding to the point where I don't even know what to do. Like, I gotta talk to Janet. But so the symbol of Jupiter is originally a Greek zeta or Z, and the 4 is formed with a stroke, indicating that it's an abbreviation for Zeus and the Greek equivalent of Roman Jupiter. So I'm like, okay, so this has stuff to do with Zeus. And I was reading about Zeus last night in the book. And then I'm like, wait a second. Like, what's even weirder, Janet, like when I sit down, this is so weird, but I like sit with my toes like curled under like a fucking bird that's like perched on a tree. I don't fucking know why. But then I'm like, wait a second, aren't sirens birds? Like they originated with a bird form, and then I think they transitioned into fish, because that's how the stories all go. Like they start as birds that were found on the water, and then they transitioned into having a fishtail. And all these stars, I'm getting to a point here. All these stars in the Lyra constellation are all associated with birds. Like Vega is derived from the Arabic name An-Nasar al-Waqi, meaning the falling eagle. And so I also channeled that something about, what did I get? Triangulum. So I'm looking into the Triangulum galaxy and stuff, and I had no idea, but the constellation Lyra forms the summer triangle with Cygnus constellation. And it's just like, it's just crazy. I'm just like, what is happening? And I think it happens around, shit, I wrote it down somewhere. It's around June, the summer triangle. But within that summer triangle is the Northern Cross. So it's a triangle with a cross in the middle. It's called the Northern Cross. And the Northern Cross lies in the direction of the Milky Way's disk, and the galactic plane, which is the equator, runs through it. And it has to do with Cygnus, which is the swan. And yeah, the Northern Cross is formed by 5 bright stars. And it's called the Summer Triangle with a Northern Cross in it. And it rises in the east and sets in the west. And I kept getting those messages about east. It's just like everything is, there's so much. I don't even know how to put it into words. I'm just like freaking out. And it's saying that the Northern Cross has symbolic meaning to Christians because every year before Christmas, it sits upright on the horizon in the northwestern sky. And get this. Okay, so I'm looking into then the mythology of the Cygnus constellation. It has to do with the story of Phaethon, the son of the god Helios, which is that of the sun. And it has to do with a father riding on a chariot, and then he loses control of it and is thrown from the sky into a river. Okay, so that's like the siren, because then from the river, he turns into a swan. The gods turn him into a swan. And Zeus has to do with lightning. Okay, and then this is crazy too. In Chinese and Japanese mythology, the stars between Deneb and Nibiru, which are in Cygnus, separate the 2 lovers. That's the right side and the left side wing of the swan, which is shaped as a cross, the Northern Cross. The stars between Deneb and Nibiru separate 2 lovers, represented of the bright stars Altair and Vega. Vega is the main one of LYRA, who are allowed to meet only once a year. What? It's like twin flames only being allowed to meet once in a lifetime. I'm freaking out. And there's just like so much more, but I'm so overwhelmed that like, I don't even know at this point. But also in my book last night, I was reading about how they represent the soul as 2 forms. There's the physical form, and then the one that dies, and the one that's immortal. And here, the representation of the siren is through the Egyptian mythology of what's called the Ba bird. And the Ba part of the bird is the part that you cannot see, but that exists after death, and it flies from like the tomb, and then it's like it has to return. It's just like all of this coincides with everything that I was getting.